with you again. It's been a couple of days. It's been raining and the weather hasn't been all that great, so I haven't been out making videos, but I am back and I am here at the northern section of the park again. This is, I'm looking at 5th Avenue here, and down at the northern end of the Conservatory Garden, which is really a beautiful place, and it's just beginning to get its spring flowers on. It's not quite there yet, so I will come back and see if we can see the tulips and the beautiful crabapple trees and other beautiful flowers. It's a really lovely spot. So 5th Avenue and about 106th Street or so, and this section has a lot of historical pre-park elements to it, which is why I'm here. Actually, the other reason why I'm here is because it's a lovely day, and I figured that the southern end of the park would be more busy with visitors and people enjoying the day, so I wanted to stay away from them. So here I am. So I'm going to start here with this leveled off area, and this has quite a bit of history to it. Going back to the 1700s, there was originally a tavern sitting on this spot, and it was eventually called McGregors Tavern. And later, I'm trying to get my history straight here, later the Sisters of Charity of St Vincent de Paul moved in here and added on to the building that was already there, created their convent and school. And they were here in this spot for a couple of decades, several decades, and then when it came to the time for Central Park to be developed, they had to vacate. So they were out of here in, I believe it was 1859. And so, but the building remained. It was a very large building, and I took a photograph. There are photographs, so I'll share that in a separate post. Or if I can figure out how to edit this thing, I'll try to get the photo into it as well, but I doubt I can do that just yet. So, once the Civil War began, the building was repurposed into a hospital for wounded soldiers, and the sisters actually came back. They had moved themselves up into the Bronx, and they're actually still there to this day, but they did move back here to help care for the wounded soldiers. And then they vacated again. They went back to the Bronx, and Frederick Law Olmsted moved in here for a while with his family as well. Then it became a museum, and then it burned down. So then the fire happened in the 1880s, and then another sort of I guess it was a tavern or a entertainment spot was built on its place, and it became very popular with the wealthy men who would drive their carriages or sleighs up here, depending on the time of year, and have their parties. And eventually that was taken down in 1901. And after that, I'm not exactly sure what happened for many decades, but then in probably, I don't know, the 80s, 90s, Central Park Conservancy moved themselves in there with and set up their compost heap, which it's a little stinky, but it serves a lovely purpose. It cares for all the growing things that are here in the park. So lots of history here. And one other thing, if you look at this wall here, you can see this masonry, and this was part of the retaining wall of the structures that were here. So it's a little bit remains, but not much. So I'm gonna now take you up to another pretty cool aspect of the park that a lot of people aren't aware of. I'm gonna cut through the grass. A walk in the landscape, as they say in the Conservancy. I'm walking through the landscape. Yeah. So I bought this gimbal, which is really cool, but I'm not using it yet because I haven't been able to figure out how to make it work properly. So I'm going handheld again. More bouncing. But it is a beautiful day. It's breezy, but the sun is very warm. The sky obviously is nice and blue after that very rainy day yesterday. So it's good to be out. Practicing social distancing, always. So, we are approaching one of, well, four military settings here in the park that obviously predated the park itself. So this is Fort Clinton, and like the blockhouse that I visited the other day, this was established here as a fortification during the War of 1812. Again, with the expectation that the British might attack from the north. And again, so we're looking here now at the buildings on 110th Street. And again, if you can picture it, a couple hundred years ago, or 100 and some odd, almost 200 years ago, actually not almost, over 200 years ago, there were no buildings here. It was just a big old plain. And again, you could see for miles and miles. And one thing that I didn't mention the last time was, I'm gonna step on a bench, so hold on. 110th Street, this water body is the Harlem mirror that I talked about the other day. This was not a water body back then. This was a marsh, and it was a nearly impassable marsh. There really wasn't a good way to get through except for one path, and I will talk about that in a bit. So you've got this sort of somewhat impenetrable marsh here, and then the plains beyond it, and so it was a pretty good vantage point for the military. And Fort Clinton, named after one of the colonial governors of the city. I hope I got that right. My apologies if I got that wrong. Here we have two cannon that go back to Revolutionary times. They came off a British ship that had been sunken in the East River and somehow retrieved and donated to the park. And there's a bit more of a story about them too that I'll save for later or another video. So Fort Clinton, as you can see, it's not very big, but it was, you know, enough to probably situate a couple of cannon. But what I can say here is we're standing in what's considered the fort's landscape, according to the Central Park Conservancy, because this is not the only fort here. Let's see, across the way, we can't see it from here, but across the drive, you might be able to see people running in the distance. There was another fort called Fort Fish. And then there was a third one down in this direction called Nutter's Battery. And all three of them were here for the purposes of defending the city. And there were breastworks even as well. So breastworks are these sort of earthenworks that were built for the soldiers to move around the area and have some bit of protection. The earthenworks are pretty much gone at this point. But the Conservancy did do some archaeological work a while back, and they found some evidence of these forts in the area, which is pretty neat. So this path here, I'm working, you might see the railing in the distance here. This is part of McGowan's Pass, and when I talked about the impenetrable marsh, there was one sort of route through the marsh, which was part of the north-south route through the city, called the Kingsbridge Road, and this is part of it. Now I'm walking down steps. So that's why that's another reason why these forts were here, because they were guarding this road. So it's all pretty cool, actually, when you think about it. Of course, it's hard to picture now, but there were, well, I'm not sure why there's a fire extinguisher there, but there were soldiers sort of billeted all over the place here during wartime. And so it's hard to picture, but if you can think about it, these rocks, again, the Manhattan mica schist bedrock, this is unchanged. So this goes back to the wartime, and obviously a couple million years before that as well. So the Kingsbridge Road was the, like I said, was the north-south road on the east side of the island. On the west side was the Bloomingdale Road, which is now Broadway. And these are post roads. So these, these went up north of the into the state, up to Albany, and even further. So very historical stuff here. And these steps, I'm trying to navigate them. So I mentioned the three forts. There's Clinton, Nutter's Battery, and Fort Fish. And of course the fourth fortification was the Black House, which we saw the other day. And I wanted to end this video on the north side of the Harlem Mere. The other day I was on, I'm on the south side of a Harlem Mere. The other day I was on the north side of a Harlem Mere. So what you can see with respect to the design of the park, and again, this and the design ethos of Olmsted and Vaux, is they wanted this a naturalistic type of situation. So again, this was a marsh. It was drained and became a lake. And if you can see here, it's just the water line. It curves and turns, and you see we're standing here and we have no idea where the rest of this lake is. Is it really, really big? Does it end over there by that willow on the other side? Who knows? And that's the point. They wanted you to not know where you were going. They wanted you to experience the park and have a little bit of an adventure. So again, even this side, you can't see where the mirror goes. So, and actually that's the same thing with the paths as well. They curve. You're not going to find a straight line in this park because they didn't want you walking in a straight line. So there is one straight line. There's the mall that's down in the middle section of the park, which is the famous sort of promenade, and it was originally called a promenade. But aside from that, there's nothing straight. And it just adds to the interest and fun of your park experience. This building here across the way is the Charles Dana Center that I mentioned the other day. It is closed, like everything else, but I will say the park bathrooms are open, the ones that are non-seasonal, the ones that are open all year round, thankfully, because I had to walk up here from the West 70s, and it's kind of a long walk, and I have to walk home, so I'm grateful for those bathrooms. So anyway, so here we are, Harlem Mere. This is kind of a long video for me, but that's okay. Hope you enjoy it, and again, stay safe, stay well, social distancing, and I hope you enjoyed this video and it kept you, give you a little brightness to the gloom. One last thing too, if you don't mind, please click the like button, the little thumbs up button, and even subscribe if you'd like. I'd love to get some more activity on my YouTube channel, so I'd really be grateful for that. So again, thanks very much and have a good one. Bye. I located a couple of the stereoscopic images from the New York Public Library's website of Mount St. Vincent, or the Mount as it's kind of used now. So these would have been made after the sisters had vacated the facility, and in fact the photograph of the building with the tower on one side is entitled the Art Gallery. So at that point, that one would have been made when the facility was a museum. So there you have it. Now you know what Mount St. Vincent looked like back in the day. Bye for now.